Hi, Doc. Hi, Moon. Tarkisia. Ta insidiatia umbortasia. Hi, Devin. Hi, Portia. Welcome. Po ata atuicher. Desia tandire carra. Hi, Sammy. How have you been, Moon? Ta asima. You're amazing, Davina. I appreciate that. Asurukata. Hey, Bev. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Stace. Ta Alina. Ta asuprakiara. Hi, Krista. Sutu apurasia paha. Tukuruku amburta fishi. Tamburta fasia. Happy 5-5. Randisa. Hi, Frida. Purchu wakukuka emburta fisia. Jatuala. Oh, beautiful. I'm glad you went and visited your mama. My mom's actually visiting right now. So I'm jumping on a little bit early. Shoot, it doesn't show me 5-5. I wanted to see the clock, but my phone doesn't show. I wanted to start a transmission at 5:55 Eastern time. So 2:55. Can somebody let me know when it's like just before that and I'm gonna start my transmission? I don't know. It used to show on my iPhone up at the top what time it was when I was on here, but now it doesn't show that anymore. It's 4:44 where you're at now? How go figure. Awesome. We start at 4:44. Yeah, so at 5:55 Eastern is when I'd like to start the transmission. So I got 11 minutes. Yeah, so just give me like a minute heads up or something if you can remember that. Not that it really matters. It's, you know, the intention. So I won't, you know, no big deal if not. Hi, Ginger. 5:45 Eastern. Yep, got a few minutes. Figured we'd fill in the space a little bit. Been using the lymph and nervous system videos. Awesome. How have they been working out for you? And Lisa? Oh, Lisa. Hi, Linda. How are you? Yeah, high 5-5, everyone. How's everybody feeling with these energies? They're quite interesting. I know that people are experiencing different things. So some people, they're having no problem and feeling really great. And then other people are going through a lot. So especially the feminine aspects. Thank you, Estefania. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting because I've been working on stuff. There's like ancestral things coming up, I'm pretty sure, because for almost every female that I've worked on we've worked on the same area on the right, from like the right knee up through, all the way out through the right arm, which I thought was really interesting. And I don't think it's a coincidence that so many people were kind of experiencing that. So it's been a roller coaster getting my moon water ready. Had an hour of intense release today. Let it out. High flying today. Yesterday was tough. Yeah. Been a lot of emotions. Frida, yeah. Struggling bad, mama. Well, hopefully whatever we bring through today is going to assist. Helena, hi, Helen. It's definitely been a ride. How are you feeling, Sammy? Yeah, so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna do a transmission to bring through whatever it is that our higher consciousnesses would like to bring through at this time, and anything that we can do to assist the collective at this time as well, especially with the being a 5-5 day, and also with the lunar full moon eclipse. So it's lots of interesting energies, and I know things. I don't know if astrology points to it, but I know the architecture points to this month of May being really interesting energetically. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Phil. Yeah, I started to get some, I know why now. I was like, my solar plexus started getting really tight just like a half an hour ago or something. I'm like, oh, well, duh, it's the codes that are trying to come through, that are going to come through for this transmission. I love you, Sherry. Hey, I'm ready for movement forward. Absolutely. Hi Denise. I can imagine why. Stace, she's been going through it, sis. My love. Hey, Chad Michael. It's been an interesting couple of days with energy. Absolutely. Hi, Synchronicity Fairy. Welcome, Daya Sana. Dayiki Kiamasa to Kurukaupa. Suruntu Kugai se Protuhara Tarantu Uchu to Afiapranta Chukurkata. Welcome, Amanda. Dansi Ataranto Sushu Akuku Granki Standard. C-section scars or interesting. Yeah, I've heard from people that the energies that are running through right now are really affecting people that have already some kind of like dis-ease of some sort in the body, right? So those with more physical issues. My stuff hasn't got flared up too bad, but it has a little bit, which was really uncomfortable. I was a little, like, oh no, what's coming through? And then I was able to shift it. We're not doing personalized transmissions today. We're doing it collectives, just doing a collective transmission for 5/5 at 5:55 Eastern time. Just whatever comes through. So I'm curious how close we are to that time. Probably still have a few minutes. 5 minutes, perfect. So if people are interested, we'll go ahead and establish some shielding up first before we get started. So if you're open to this idea, putting up some different structures to help support you while we do this transmission, make sure we're working with the right type of codes and keeping just things nice for us. If you're open to that idea, we'll go ahead and guide through a little process. You don't have to visualize it or anything like that. I'm kind of commanding it aloud, and I'm working with your higher consciousness to bring through what we need to, that will adjust the subtleties to work in ways that are right for your template, because we all have different templates that we're working with. So people need a little bit different things. There's not one thing fits all. So if you're open to that idea, what we're gonna do is just, for the highest good only, we're just gonna affirm this now. So through any transmission, any energy exchanged through this entire live, no harm will be done, no energy will be taken that is not freely given out of love. It will be in alignment for the highest good of all only, and only those that are open to receive will receive, and only what's meant for them. So we're gonna ask the higher consciousness to go ahead and manifest appropriate geometry in the pineal gland that represents essentially polarity. So the masculine and feminine principles, the marriage of those together. It may be a 2-dimensional 6-pointed star, or it could be a 3-dimensional like star tetrahedron. And we're gonna ask this, of course, to be the appropriate frequencies for your template too. It may be like a pale silver, it may be like a silver platinum, it could be a diamond platinum, it could be all sorts of different things. So we're gonna ask that to spin up at the appropriate spin rates as well for your template. And we're gonna move this gently down from the pineal gland, and it's gonna cleanse through the energy centers as it moves down. So through the throat, it's gonna cleanse, it's gonna move down through the heart, and the high heart and then the heart. It's gonna go to the solar plexus, the sacral, the roots. It's gonna go between the legs, past the feet, and we're gonna go all the way into the center of the earth this time, into the crystal core. And we're just gonna give Mama a big old hug, an energetic hug, share some of the love, share some of these codes and the intentions for unity and love and peace with the whole collective. And then we're gonna move that up from the center of the earth up to about a foot below our feet. And it's gonna spin up there faster and faster until it pops out a platform. This platform will emit a diamond platinum white light that rises up through and around our vessel, all the way up to about a meter above our head. So this is wide enough around, we can't quite extend our arms and touch the sides. Think of it kind of like Beam Me Up Scotty, but like a bigger one. And then we're going to take that geometry from the bottom platform and move it up through your heart line, so up through that divine line that houses the energy centers, and we're gonna activate the energy centers as we move through. So we're gonna activate the root. Oh yeah, there's a lot of resistance today. Sacral, solar plexus, heart, high heart, throat, third eye, crown. Whew. And then up to the top of that cylinder of light. So about 36 inches above the head. It'll spin faster and faster. It'll pop out another platform. That'll vacuum seal us into this container. This is our diamond pillars, part of our diamond light body architecture. We're gonna connect directly to just pure consciousness, call it source, God, whatever you want. Then we're gonna ask it to connect to that geometry in the top platform, which will move it down and into our heart space, which will activate our diamond heart. Because healing truly comes from the heart. So right now I would recommend just to feel into the center of your chest. Maybe imagine a big old bright light starting small and getting brighter and brighter, brighter, and filling up your whole room. There's no limitations. It can fill up your whole state, the whole world. And we're gonna trigger these beautiful aurora frequencies to fill this container as well. So these like iridescents and pastels. And we'll ask the orbs of aurora to come in and also assist in cleaning up any dead light, miasma. It's perfect timing. And we're gonna open up the heart with your own signature love frequency. We're gonna put a soccer ball shape around it with chromium mirrors, kaleidoscopic chromium mirrors on the outside and inside. And we're gonna expand the heart frequency to go all the way around the field in 3, 2, 1. We lock that in. Put a rainbow ray around the outside, and we are ready to rock and roll. So ise fransi portasi semburtasaka. Situi shandurti fi hartosasia handur kakori ke prasiga. So I'm going to ask everybody's highest selves to step in, and I'm going to ask any guides and aspects that are relevant for what needs to come through for each person today, for their highest good only, of course, to step up. And then we'll invite beings, the highest living, eternal, organic light only, that would like to assist our higher consciousness with whatever needs to come through today for the highest good, to please do so with deep appreciation and love. So feel free to relax, set your own intentions if you'd like, feel into it. Of course, set your own parameters for what you receive and only what's right for you. Even though I set those, it's always good to use your own discernment. Let's rock and roll. Si pukare ke kur hantere situ artefesi o horotur te fondana yapi kutisiri chit usura fiandar da kasipiero chi wahar tansi bloki presifia watanamor chi wihu otu hawara pie prasite den sakwirka pariti piari sireti di unsur tra hawara tahranda ke perke fi harinte sirena ne autorita kiwa riki osukandor ka paradia fisiatiena te push afrata harte sini ne rahatut orto ko men te handarun ko peria chiku ko vi kwa kuin kana to kai aurko ta yo sufrashinana ritia tandar tu ku ke grannar ko haya rita ana ana ko ya kara rikasi hola lo ko tanje ka masia le ko te lo ko tiama pa halu lo kana ko te siafrati antur to barata ya antirush proshuto ya sut arshana harki ya hois pe proshim ro ko sam yam to pe mondo Ciebrai hatur cifre sierati tante de durte fivire tu ya Ceproca ca qui fai de morta ni horto pebrai pepro si roto timur to cati fratiatu charana ratatatata ki purta fasia. So just feel your body, deeply feel your body, consciously feel your body. Ritisianto asu hawa hata roha we shui haranta se pay attention to any of those like subtle feelings that you might feel, just like almost like it's just outside of the body. Like feeling like just like an inch or two outside of the body, almost like just outside the skin. And feel for those any kind of pressures and tingles, temperature change. And if your body feels like it needs to move a little bit, allow it to. Allow your eyes to relax. Allow your jaw to relax. Yeah, these energies are coming in hot. I try to keep grounded here. Slow down, guys. Riku atimur surchet tafer tatur kukre aplaskis. Ceretu anter tatarni nekosepi protkandum. Ceretu arnin saratu kotera teknika proska de pagargen ko separati partkudi katati ko tekena ko tekata pagargen ti varganya. Tada insegel tu ki porkutar tu isi. Ci proto farda man farda ku ci parta ki mara papa kan en setup per te tertan in turtu tati amurta trat asardi temberi wotu. Ritu afreshin ne karta ci fi ku tat te pagargen tu i purjan rata ta ka separa ko tingu separata i portkata. Riku separa ko ni I shifted again. Brought that I get everything to support people. Papu going to go to the start and is about to ever again. Get the second, but you had to go to Aswat and Nimberta. Rin to another than the word of Russia. Musukra car, Keke, Prosindor, Tatis, Ferat Hartan, San Camburin, and Sarocurco. Redden Sira Chief Lassi Tamburta, the Ratat to Kurchambroshinia, Tirika Mortifiatu for Mahafata, Equiquadanta Gira. Ti giudici qua fra sandro te parla per garantiva ci procuro di rata che ne mi porto per questo video parti a rata non canzana mel pe ascia da tour di asia c'è ritorno di la saria terra dan cosa per tu yarda mushanan tarre che per con di procuro che per che insieme che sarà che io su procuro che marca che per che insieme che io su ante da patar che prote che non ti procuro che ne che per usa frasi taccia tu han por te para che in dir go tarde mamma tu che ci procuro per iniziare ti sforzo mo show yarda da riti mrota fashion per che sai con nella che pepe che we ci portano tutto questo per sempre che si farà patar che pesco andare da pepe sueto ci portano da si show ci proca hier kuko na yarda che si proca na quiz ci pli suarta fe sun ci kuko che crai in greca sa ci prosi hat bi hat chi qualcosa ci granta na curcana perché che rien ci suet war frasi na shawe kuko geri darendo che da washu da harda si ritorta se ma mamma tu kau ko luktur rati eleganza nelle locali quelli le wea quelle la un le mancolela e anni lo da ufile prati tu e si come da ma ti pe con sta parata che si kai in quelle da per da e caga che in kai si che e insene po atra che uko ye caga che in saka qui caschi hanno tutto che schia uka wa in cui poi vedremo par poi per interessi fi ha fu acqua rama prosifia per prosi per sander da catera coti bra da apurata pipra si arti na mosu si proside ta namor di attacco che granzi ha poi avrei mai me si tu shahar ta fece per si frosuro tamuri da chioi ci rish o frondor tamarshata via che detto mancare a ne Vediamo se ti può fare, abbiamo mandato da qui, quello che so urfatieni na tare fisian. Ma tu fa fare mamorita. E qui scaya hara ta fifu ambra te pe fui o quella che te ne menene. Ti we ya tu fui fu e marotus. Ti sciasire tu e scemo horodur. Na re puri se shewi ku na ma u che a la na u che ne esche e ma ha ai da che le ish Haru ulu mare tare kukaku kanor kere teritisu na norona mare kukui si wi puan non tare no sa ruta ma pero ki wi kuira to ta ukur con no mare yitai ta ufete puaratas ritiaren surtati orta mordana e kurahata ke kui haratiaso shumrutati ri e kuratan che poka di kui hoi hanantare ke Yeah. Yes. Come on, get out. I'm starting to lighten up. Yay. Rineri siirtata sieltä murkane. Jaka tatiki muka hata kuikueli. Jisha sanatasi. Come on. How am I supposed to do that? I need my arms. Moving some stuff out of the shoulders and arms. Specifically left side. So something collective, represented collectively in that area. The left, like behind the heart, up through the left shoulder. Yakuana. Hatu anamaratia. Kwayakona. Yeah. Shikona kore. Yakorana. Shit, yankana. Kama awal oya nane the s. People he wa unam para namaharati. Ti feel what we ko ha na nane ke ekya ko ay nane ni ahya ko ma ni ke. Ti sia we ha wa maharo ke ko kranta kes. People awa ma. Ti ma ke okay la ya ya kam on kong ko ka ngo ko ke kla ke ni mo ke le ka ni mo re ko le ke nanngore la lu re ta mo re alulo papa le lu mandi le te le ko yo mai ringa ye le ka randa le ke mo le le ko le ka di le ke do mi mo le be be ale le ka sa ke ko ye le ka ni mo ko ti re ka ta re mun ti pro tarita ci pro ke sa re ke ti per sempre ti guarda che cosa per che non ti per che sempre che tra di per che ti sa che per che per che sa quanto quattro che si farà che monti parto catarica e le rede in giro da frottia reti si arti e sambrota per una hato corco che quel anguro che per una che guarda tu si guanti te dico se frotto per tari porte ci procura ti ha tardato per parte per chiamare con te catene a handere perché che si farà così perché per chiamare di ci capi un guru con tata tutto che usare che si arti che che zulati ci portare a tanti sforzo che ti porto anche se ha detto che ti porto quindi faccia perché non ci preoccupare perché tu era che pensate restituzione ci ha non di forto per farci no ci forse si anzi da parte che niente ci portare io su cora has che handa ka iski handa ki iski handa ki iski ha eko iski handa ki iski maka ka iski aka iski ayaka iski aka iski que iski con que no iski papo que le tire que we get tongue upgrades.
Che moncana. Si uha wa ahasa de ans bere ko ar ko kana. Di na ne kia de kia na ta ipea. Na ka ke kia ko kama kan tu ke. Si wis am halfway with siam. Si we were to pa we ke kwa ingene ete sia kwa ukungo. Te ando ko ana ta ipea ko. Te pe shawe we no tama ro okur we amawa. Te we suare tuerishima hatara ke pepekiani. Ke pi sua hifiat e tipo hasiba pre bruta fia samburta pa heo ko yakana. Ti we ku yarantu tu afefla sibratia. Ti wara tu kaso. Ta hapa ana hapo pe har te perohit eseretori. Ta artore na ta tore. Nisitor te pa hasari tu kayana. Ke profundur da ke se fe ke parando mahata te papel kanan por ti pratia. Te fue wa ntu amma mama te yawa. Che vorrei rutimo a guardare tu pe wa kan sarete per tapaga. Ci vorrei cus ampora te fi handu di proshu we wa tu rotu ku kanante dai me.
Rinsi pro sahata ku grande tema hadarisha. Ritanti di portiare situ ci guardi monza ha pakur ko qua. Le rantori ti poherdi na krahi ti creanti surtash. Da cifra siandre portadana tu krahi korkus. Prahi protandere kasai sandri tu ma. Paparo tu che qua guardino sasha te shu turte ferasi mortata ku krahindere te bayarno. Giuri shure nendre da sia kraha kier te ne mauku. Tu santur ta partimam. Te era te hartante da kuk oi te rendur na martu hakue I waha nara ka ku el kuya nahara te muk ahara te hana harata te ush artasi mahatara kipya te tisa hati ne mukahi te auso kristala takikangre ke paya kutano te aisha kia kikoe sana mahatara nikia yetu ritu kukuendo mamatur kipehata rinchire je estu hasi makayak kuena Ceritore sia saratuci, iata contusta, nella stessa baccaia, da iaca nantalia, da giamu crutau, da rancia murtche martu, te fete murcena d'aria. Ia tieci dei santi di sciapo acqueritu, ricandire tortesi, coturge sandortasa, radiandortiasa morcata di assugratia, murt urcianura, marta crustara, rasua. Mircici a tatti mot alci, ma citi under the pujar, che chiansore può hauri pletuia, det amburshin hartata ki quacca puia. Ci cui cogangu hekana, che wako okoe hayana haya che kukuske ma hague ukoembo hechama, ci wahma kaka maski hanuka ewa, ci which were simo hata ifi partana, ci cui kunananti wasara to anum paranimata amano. Ci vuole tu chi prodotto che ti perché ti merokta da parte per che ci wit ussi per tempo da parte che ne sati si usorotati sferete marendo sur di mantro te pia hanarta ta hukore kanno maya prahina na tu che na har che pe prahia
Ciuritur di frattahan turut pafur patianari kiprekia. Ciurisuri asur nanur de bayoku. Rinsi pratisan. Parata turasi. Ci fierda sandro tati prendo canare che praia. Io tiro tarti sicra cangur che si fiata mibro to io to i. Ci dici amurta na surta ta ci vorti yasa che turti porti in che zero che per birengani. Ci vorta ku farcia ku sursa nanenta di tai. Pratita ta protuku kungra tatariki presna. Ci precudi casa per con libro così. Morto, non puoi proprio perché io non ho nada di ringer dan dico sotto dan morgan se che conta ragavo pi che non tanto bantu che non conta che va in to per un bambora ta per che ti conta di porta ti organizza per che o cosa che o cosa che manco che con che o cosa un cosa per yen che ancora io che ecco se qua un bracata ecco poi gango aku kayaknya kayak ambil aku yang sorry che muka ni pun kamu si bukan wakwa ili lu kwandi lu kutur ka tuyari ti morte si hata ta ka borra ron ni bota riutira ring du ka angoro ti prahi wa wo por moria rendi satur prendi ta faro ko nia si ti resi anu marta ko ako ishin ya ha na ma ko ha ta ki le here ti ar no ha wa fania ritingri si har ko ta fuara pe prahi ra torian iri purta fi sound di pushta morta per pe ha io sun yere di morta i klandar ti si ya kundi le torch je chasa hati to timba hambar na mukro ya ti war hi morta na kasui portes je prata rindar da kai war ki piarata ko ski pratnem per di pawa je por sembia sa hatar ki ki asu na marti per shawa tu ungra kaima je si war ti si ambra da pa ki osu je prati andor da kasi haku harkania si urun ti shana hare ti prahina nuku si de yatan risi wa waru to kangor ginea si ut urta fe amor shana non tarkono per rituki o kwana ta we utwe e plesur rishante ta rutar ti ferandi marta per ti akan si può essere handor takos ci chi kan sandar to bayarke fe u halara tangur di sia ci ritorie si fiambor ta si hakayokusan ti piace au lutur kana mimjisia arilu aurta mornena yo ti hale ule mamania ti ta terati ritumara ti retiarti semni mutar ke pe prahia tuitimi ti wahar tu e kwaikasan te to san ci wahar san pe kwar ti prahia ci qui vartu tas torti per di mani ratu kahor ke kwaria bis ti verti parana ci vitu han ti protetti saka koko ya kona ti ore ta ti a ta pe a ta mi a ta pe ke a ta ri ti a ta ci a ta me kuk asia ta imba pa ku le mandia siruta fuaran ne ti artia no ko kale kasa pesha uevo nuro meru nema nikuri turi timani korke kasu hatur tema ritier no ta torke siama kusha tafi te pereni jit usia sundana nara ni maye je pruri para nauru u pa perenia ti tu ursharati petarati pe u avarati tama shekukara defia ta wa kukale deshi tas kaso all right, yay. I'm sure there's some questions. It's powerful. This is awesome. I'm a little high. It's understand. I can imagine the trolls would be nonstop, or people just don't understand. I totally get that too. I mean, this stuff is I'm in no illusion. This stuff is quite strange. Another level of weird. So totally get it. But if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions too. Because right on. That's a lot of people that are probably like, what the F? Yeah, so for those that are curious, what I'm doing is I'm expressing what is referred to often as like light linguistics or light language. So light is information. Light is data. So when we're talking about these concepts, we're talking about an exchange of information. So it's a transmission of data, and it's universal in its energy. So I don't try not to use the term language too much. Thank you. Because it has so much attachment to that idea, right? Because then we want to understand it like we would English. And this is more a multidimensional tool for affecting energetic structures. So it's unstructured language, even if I'm making the sound. So the movements are a form of it as well. So I'm essentially playing my energy field like an instrument by tuning frequencies with my hands. So we've got these different streams that move through us, different streams of energy that move through us, and we can tune those frequencies to shift it and to do certain things with them, right? Because everything is energy, everything's frequency. So I like to consider it more like music than it is like language as we know, because like we know that music is universal, right? You don't have to tell someone how a song feels.
right? Because you can feel the emotion in the music itself. Thank you. And even if it had lyrics, people may interpret those lyrics dramatically different between each other, right? And we may take it differently at different times. I know that certain songs in my life, I've gone back to the lyrics, and it's been a completely different song to me. So it's universal in that way. So it's more processed in the right hemisphere of the brain than the left hemisphere. Like, you know, English is more structured. It's analytical. It needs to be understood, right? So that's more that left hemisphere. The stuff is that more right hemisphere, which is that intuitive side. It's that side that recognizes patterns, and it actually processes data exponentially faster than the left hemisphere. So it's meant to be felt. It's meant to be known. So it can be a little weird concept to kind of grasp how it works. It's best experienced. So I use it as a tool. So to me, it's a technology, it's a tool. It's a form of what we would call higher self integration. So that's the expanded version of yourself, the higher mind of yourself. Some people call it the higher self. You know, it's just more of you. If this was a big Sims video game, it'd be the version of you that's kind of playing the game. So the goal really for a lot of people is to integrate more of that version of self into our physical experience. And this is a tool to do that. And that's what I really choose to use it for. But it's going to supplement any intention that you have. And it's something that gets activated. So it's something that gets triggered within you. It's remembered. So it's not necessarily something you have to learn to do. You can learn to understand it and understand how it works, but it's more something that gets remembered throughout your being. And it often comes through as we integrate more aspects of ourselves. So as we go through our healing journey, you know, we may be healing things from our childhood, of course, maybe adulthood, and then we start to heal things from what we might perceive as past lives, you know, parallel lives, future lives. It's all happening here and now. It's all happening at once. And sometimes when you're bringing in the healing for those different aspects, you integrate parts of those parts of you. So, and those parts of you have certain data that they express, right? Certain aspects, different personality structures, different expressions of energy. And with that can come these different movements. There's different styles of it, different dialects that come through, but it's all just me. So it's not like I'm channeling something outside of myself. It is possible. Some people do channel different beings and entities, but yeah, it is a form of channeling. But with me, I'm only channeling aspects of myself. So they're all just me. And it's just different expressions, like you wear a different hat, you know, just wear a different costume at times. So is it really just sounds? So the sounds themselves are really carriers. So the way that it sounds here as we're listening to it isn't really all there is to it. It's a multidimensional expression. So the sounds are more like carriers. Think of it kind of like pieces of code. Each symbol, like syllable, may have like a certain archetypal sound geometry to it that can carry information in different ways. So sometimes when I'm expressing it, it'll be like ta 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 ta. So that sometimes is me moving energy, clearing energy through things. It can come through at some people's light linguistics are like the same things over and over and over again, but it can have different effects because it's a carrier to deliver those codes, those light codes. Like if this was a big game, you know, or a simulation, whatever you want to call it, it's developed. That matrix is created through code, essentially. And this is what we call light codes, because light is information. So this is a way of coding things. It's a way of shifting that light and that information in our beingness to remember more of who we are, shift out the noise that we're not, because we are music. Just like it's music, each of us are our own unique signature song, right? We have our own unique song, and that song's perfect. But healing to me is really about getting rid of the stuff that you're not. So, you know, that it's a lot of trauma and, other belief systems that don't serve us, limiting belief systems. So it's like we have our own unique song, but trying to hear who we truly are is like trying to listen to a whisper in like a death metal concert, right? It's subtle. So once you start to shift out the noise from your energy field, that could be negative thought forms, it can be those traumas or emotions that we haven't processed. You shift those out so you can hear your own music, hear your own signature song. And that's the way to do it, right? Frequency. Everything is frequency and vibration and energy. So with that awareness, there's a lot of things that you can do with it. So Yeah, sorry if I missed questions and comments as I went through the little monologue there, but the comments were moving so fast, it would have been hard to see anyway. But for those that are kind of new to this idea and are open-minded, welcome. And I'm always happy to answer any questions because it's not separate from science. It's not separate from logic. It's not separate from understanding. It's just we have a lot of data to bridge in order to really grasp these concepts, and the information's out there. Plenty of information's out there. It hasn't been organized and projected to us in a way that is nice in a nice little box. And a lot of these concepts don't fit in a nice little box too, because at their core, they're multidimensional and they're expansive. So that's why it can be such a powerful tool to use this stuff, is because it's multidimensional in nature. And so then that's how the universe speaks, right? It speaks in symbols. Like if you look into occult stuff, if you look into occult stuff, you can start to see similar symbols, right? And it's not just to be cryptic, right? It's not just to make it all like a big puzzle. It's because spirit speaks in symbolism, because it's meant to be taken from whatever angles that we're looking at from through our own lenses, our own filters of our ego structure, our personality structure. But there's those archetypal aspects to them, right? Like certain colors have certain frequency range, and that represent certain things. And it's the same thing in the body too. So certain aspects of certain areas of your body holds different frequency ranges, and that's why we get sick. That's why there's an emotional source for everything that goes on in our physical body, because emotions are energy. Emotion is supposed to be energy in motion. The problem is we oftentimes won't process those negative ones because we've been taught, okay, it's not okay to cry or in public, or you can't be upset about certain things, so you hold it back, or maybe not just the right timing for it, right? So we hold it into our body, and it gets stored in our body because it's meant to move through us. And if we store enough of those similar frequency emotions in our body, it creates resistance. It creates dis-ease in the body. And you can just shift that out, and the body starts to heal itself. It's designed to heal itself. And you can heal in so many different ways. It can be physical. You can go through your physical permission slips by working with body workers, and we're working through therapy, through medicine, and, sometimes surgeries, some Western medicine can be helpful too. But you have everything already equipped within you to heal yourself. That's why nature heals itself. Nature doesn't have doctors. We have everything that we need to heal ourselves. Not saying that doctors are not valuable. We definitely need to have the full spectrum, but the system is really manipulated, unfortunately, for money, right? So it's a business, especially in the Western systems. It's a big business. Your health is their business. It's a profit thing. So what good is it to them to teach you how to heal yourself? It's much more profitable to treat your symptoms for the rest of your life rather than treat the root cause. And the root cause, they don't want to tell you, is something that you can manage, something that you have to take responsibility for to heal yourself. Because that's where healing truly comes from. It has to come from you. I'm not doing any healing when I work on other people. I'm stimulating healing within people. I'm like a permission slip from them to say, hey, I'm open to this experience so that I can have a shift in my balance of who I truly am, so I can remember more of who I truly am. It's all part of your design to remember more of who you are. But yeah, so just like honeybees heal cancer, and the frequency they put out is healing for us too. Absolutely. Frequency has been, you look into Dr. Reif, he was in prison for his frequency work. There's been tons. There's so much data. Just people that are fully resistant to this stuff. It's just honestly being willfully ignorant. You just haven't looked, and you're lying to yourself if you think that you've actually looked into it. Because there's so much peer-reviewed studies on all the things that support this stuff. Maybe not yet all this weird stuff that I do, not yet. But that's part of the role of a lot of us are becoming more aware of it, so we can bridge that gap in information, that gap in understanding, so we can get into a more unified state as a human family, rather than being so dismissive and cynical and repulsive. We're repulsing each other. We're not integrating. We're disintegrating when we do those things. No, I'm right, you're wrong. No, it's actually in the system. You all are right. And that's the problem, is that you can be right in your limitations. So if you're choosing limiting beliefs for yourself, you're saying, no, that's not possible. Only this is possible. Well, yeah, you're right for you, because now you're locked into that box, that limiting belief system. And you're so powerful that you can choose to feel powerless. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people are doing. But we weren't taught different. I was on the other side of the aisle too. I would have been somebody that probably would have been making fun of it, because that's how I had resistance when I first was even introduced to it. And I was doing healing work. I was like, nah, this stuff, that's cool. Like I wasn't like, no, it doesn't work or whatever. I was like, that's cool. That's their thing. That's not my thing. I'll figure out what my thing is. But it's inherent to who you are. It's not a thing that you do per se. So it's part of your beingness. And that's why there's different expressions of it. It's essentially a soul expression. And we all have those different signature frequencies. It's better to say, I appreciate you telling me what I should and shouldn't say, brother. That's your perspective. I think I expressed it in a way that felt okay in my expression. But I could see your point of view. Remember, how we define things is really important too. Communication is really important. Because we have so many different, that's the problem with like languages like English. Like it's so structured that it's rigid, and that it creates a ton of miscommunication, because we think that this is how this is what it must mean, because this is how I've defined this experience. And what I've noticed a ton of times when people, almost every time when there's serious like disagreements, is that people are assigning different values to the terms that they're speaking on. So of course, like for example, the idea of God, people define that idea dramatically different, and then they all fight about what it is. But what you're doing is you're assigning a value to something that you established. So helping each other to say, okay, this is how I perceive this idea. This is how I define it. And this is the values that I've defined it as, will help a ton. We don't have to have the same beliefs or the same preferences at all. We don't. Everything can work fine without that. But when we try to contract each other, right? When we try to put everybody else's boxes together for them, it doesn't work for us. That's why we have so many problems. Love is expansive. Fear-based beliefs are contractive. So when we have contraction in the body, we have dis-ease in the flow of energy. And that's when we have health problems, and we get sick, and we have emotional problems. But love is expansive. So even if you are to take that really, really simple idea, you can apply it across everything in your life, right? Is it contractive? Is it holding you in a box? Is it keeping you limited in some way? That is going to show you where a fear-based belief is for yourself. The fear-based belief isn't like, phobia belief. It's that, I can't do that because that something else or this or that, but it's a contractive energy. Love is an expansive energy. And if you can, for example, a really simple practical technique for healing on yourself is you can do this stuff yourself. What I do isn't anything special. I know a lot of people think that, do you think you're special, they can do all this stuff. But that's because you've assigned a limiting belief to yourself and to what you perceive is possible. So you think that, we must think that we're special because we can do this. Actually, I think quite the opposite. What I'm really here to do is help people remember for themselves. And you can do these things for yourself. I teach this. This is stuff I teach. Like, this is stuff I help people remember. I don't like to say teach, but I help people remember this in themselves, because everything can be done through personal experience. That's what spirituality is about. It's about finding things through yourself. It's not about some kind of template that we have to go through. That's religion. Religion keeps things in boxes. They say, this is what's right. That's not what's right. So this is a great exercise for those that are open to try it out. Thank you, Jules. What I recommend to do is, so if you have tension somewhere in your body, tension or pain somewhere in your body, just imagine it as like a shape. So try to like outline it with your feeling. So feel into it and then try to assign it like a shape with your feeling, and a color even if you want. And so, for example, if it's in the back of the neck, like right now I have some tension back here. So I'm going to assign it just a shape, kind of like a little undulating shape. And then I'm going to imagine it expanding and turning into light, just expanding more, opening up, and then getting brighter, which is going to increase the frequency, which is going to open it up, and just feel the difference. just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Just go into that spot, assign the feeling, a shape, expand it. You can use your imagination to explode it if you want. Go to another shape, go right back to the same spot, because we have many layers to these things. Expand it, go back, expand it, go back, expand it. So if you can get yourself in that constant expanded state, that is where you're going to be expressing love, right? We're not contracted. There's not all those fear-based beliefs that we're going to be holding on to that keep us, It's, wow. It's that simple. And even if the idea of all this moving, the finger stuff, all these mudras, right? They're called mudras, but this is complicated combinations of them, which creates more complicated sets of data. But this is like tuning yourself, kind of like an instrument. You see when you play a guitar, we're doing that in strumming. It's the same idea, because we've got these little streams and rivers of energy that move through us. It's connected to our whole body, but they come out through the hands. They're called axiotonal lines. So when you do things with them, it changes the frequency that's moving through you. But they're all running through your fingertips. All these energies are running through your fingertips. So a really simple practice to try. Doesn't matter who you are, you can heal like this, because our bodies are designed to heal itself. Take your fingers, put them all together as close as you can, like all in one spot, like kind of like that. And then put it over areas of pain or areas that you want to bring healing into. 2 is best, but you can try it just 1, because each finger is going to have a little bit of different frequency and functionality. They're going to be connected to different energy centers, different ideas of dimensions that we exist within or through. The constellations, all sorts of different things. As above, so below, as within, so without. So when you do this, you're focusing all of that energy through those axiotonal lines, and it's kind of like white light. Well, how white light contains the full spectrum of color, you're using the full spectrum of your energy field to target a certain area, right? So it's less specialized. So all this stuff is like creating a painting. This is like blasting it with white light, kind of. Really simple. And if you can open your heart more and you can expand your heart, the center of your chest, you can make that feeling that you feel when you're in love, or you're petting that kitty that you love so much, or you see the baby laughing and having a great time and your chest opens up. If you can do that at the same time, it's going to be even better, because healing truly comes from the heart. Hope that makes sense. Sorry I missed comments. I was blabbing away. Felt compelled to express it. So how's everybody feeling? How did everybody like that transmission? It was pretty long, right? Thank you, Kaiser. What was that? Missed it. Where'd it go? Thank you, whoever just subscribed. Way to go away. I appreciate you. Whole body was on fire. You're most welcome, Susan. Yeah, and if anybody's curious, you can send me a message. Send me a message. My messages are open, or you can email me. Ask me anything. Nobody ever takes advantage of that. If I was a skeptic, if I was new to this stuff, or maybe I'm just weirdo, because anytime I don't understand something, I don't reject it. I go, wow, that's interesting that person feels so strongly about that. I wonder what that's about. And then I go and ask questions. And if you want, you're welcome to challenge me. I have no fear whatsoever in responding. I don't have all the answers, but I'm happy to provide what perspectives I do have. And through that, dude, it's what it's about. Why are we always like against each other? It blows my mind. So if you're interested in that stuff, feel free to reach out to me and ask any questions. I don't have answers, but I'm happy to provide my perspective. And if you leave a comment on one of my videos, like with a question, I'll often reply with a video response too. So if it's a good question, of course. And you talk English? I don't know. I'm speaking words. Is it English, Paris? Alien languages. It's just different expressions of me. If you want to call, they're not alien to me. They're just different expressions of energy. They're me. It's not that they're aliens from another planet or something. That's just kind of a misclassification. Now, they could be perceived to having certain frequencies that are associated with different cosmic bodies, maybe, but that's not how I assign them, and that's not how I perceive them. They're all just different expressions. That's why they merge together. They sound different. They shift between it. It's all just me. What does my handle mean? Ty L. So my human name is Tyrell. And so Tyrel. And L means of God, essentially, is what it represents. It represents in service of the whole, right? So if you hear like the archangels' names, they're like Raphael, Michael, or whatever, you know, the L, you'll see that a lot. And that just represents the whole, like a ray of emanation in the whole. So Tai, of the whole. So my ego structure working in service to the whole. And the slashing out of the R, it represents the releasing of my tyrannical aspects of self. So like many of us, I've played both sides of the coin. I've played the full spectrum of polarity. And I've been beings that have done really naughty things. I've been really tyrannical in other realities, you know? So in this reality, this ego structure is slashing that out. And the fact that it's all capitalized represents the idea that I am, that designation is for something that isn't a physical being person. Tai L, so if it's all caps, it represents an entity. And that's essentially what Tai L is. It's an entity of my collective versions of self. I'm just Tai. Just this ego structure is just Tai. But that's essentially what my handle means. So thank you for asking. And I'm a quantum architect. I'm a light coder. Quantum coder, a light weaver. You know, they're just labels. You know, I work with energetic structures. So I manipulate sacred geometry, which holds the form for consciousness and energy to express itself. Do you understand your light language? Sometimes, yeah. So sometimes it's an expression of information that can be translated into human type words. Sometimes it's more just pure frequency. So it's more like code. Think of it kind of like, not even quite like Morse code, but more like something that like would affect things. So kind of like think of each of the syllables kind of being like a bullet of energy, you know, and like the different syllables would be the different phonetics would be different shapes of energy going out. So that's affecting things in different ways. Sometimes it's connecting. So kind of think of it like the old dial-up modems, or sometimes it's like that because it's connecting you with different different servers of information, different sets of information that you can pull in. So there's so many different possibilities that move through. So sometimes they're just sounds. Some like legit just sounds. My rising sign, is that the second one? I know my first, it's like I'm a Pisces, Sagittarius, the two main ones. I don't remember. I always forget. Do you consider yourself a starseed, or is a space wizard a better description? I don't technically consider myself a starseed, but I could. Depends on your perspective. But I don't really assign myself that kind of a label. I say space wizard just because it's fun and it's not serious. That's why I'm more about like labels that are more fun and that like, because labels can be great. They can serve you or they can keep you limited. So I try not to hold on to an identity too hard in that way. Quantum architect is pretty much what describes what I do best, because I'm working in the quantum fields, which is, you know, outside of space-time and at the wave potential. So before it even expresses itself into our experience in the particle universe, the anti-particle universe. Individual's energy that you work with, correct? Often, yeah, it depends on what I'm doing. Yeah, so like we did this transmission earlier and it was a collective thing, so working at a collective level. Oh, Sajina, beautiful moon. Yeah, they do really quick. How did you come to learn or do this? Yeah, so through healing. So I was diagnosed with something that doctors were saying, let's say modern medicine, let's say. I would say mostly, when I say modern medicine, it doesn't feel right because modern medicine in other countries in the East is a lot different. They still use their awareness of qi in Japan, or qi in Japan and qi in China. So their systems, they use acupuncture, they use, they work with the meridian systems. So their modern medicine has those things in mind. Our Western system doesn't. So our Western system rejects it. So it feels better to say Western medicine. But shoot, where was I going with that? I forgot the question. Yeah, I'm always happy to answer questions. I forgot. Oh yeah. How do I learn it? Okay. Yeah. So I was diagnosed with something that they were saying was pretty much incurable. They even told me it was terminal at one point. They even put me through therapy for it. They put me through I can't remember what it's called, but when you're diagnosed with something that's like severe and like is life ending, they send you through this. I went through the University of San Diego. They're like whatever psychiatric stuff, and they put me through this whole system. But that's where I learned meditation. So they were counseling me all this stuff. I didn't really believe it. I was like, what? It kind of was like in shock to me. But they would put me through different treatments. So they put me through. They trained me in meditation with biofeedback. So I got into meditation and all this woo-woo stuff, if you want to call it that, from essentially a scientific perspective. So they had me hooked up to EEGs and blood pressure and all that stuff, heart rate stuff, so I could see the effect that being in certain states had on my physicality. For example, just when I look up at my third eye or I look upwards, either my crown or my third eye, it instantly changes my brainwave states. So I can get into a more channeling state just instantly by doing that, which I've noticed through biofeedback. So that's how I got introduced to it in that way. But essentially everything else that they recommended pretty much didn't do anything. They just tried to pump me up full of pills and say, you're kind of screwed. There's nothing we can do for you. And so I went downhill, dark night of the soul, really a long, long time. And, really depressed, went through that whole thing. What we go through in our dark nights got really, really bad. Tried to check out a number of times. I think it was in the psychiatric hospital like 5 times, maybe. I don't remember. Something like that. And then kind of gave up on Western medicine altogether. I said, well, F this. You guys suck. You're not doing anything for me. Doesn't make any sense. It was like the worst experience ever. And then just went in on my own and pretty much went really bad. And then I finally rediscovered energy healing. I was kind of always into metaphysical stuff, but more from an intellectual perspective and not through experience, aside from meditation and stuff. I like crystals and stuff, but I didn't really I didn't understand why I was drawn to this stuff. It was more just intellectual. I knew that it had good energy about it, but I didn't get it. And not until I started experiencing things. So once I started to experience energy healing instead of just knew it was out there, it changed everything. Once you actually have the experience, it shifts your ego structure. But it's still, and then I went into healing all the time. I wanted to learn how to do it. I was just obsessed with it. I was just absorbing all the data. But even with that, I was going through and going, gosh, what was it? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So I was even doing healings every day. So I was working on doing healing every day. And every morning I would still wake up and be like, nah, I don't think this stuff, is this stuff real? Is this legit? I would always question everything for a year. And I was doing it every single day. I would see miracles happen every day. And then I finally figured out, okay, I locked it in. Okay, it's real. But now I just really have to understand how it works. And so that's what I've been really passionate about, is really trying to understand how it functionally works, so we can bridge where I was before, where I didn't understand it, that from my logic mind, my left hemisphere, I didn't quite get it because there wasn't quite that bridge. Because for a lot of spirituality, it's all just about feeling and knowing and it's a personal experience. But so it didn't really cross over. But there's fundamental aspects that extend throughout our spiritual experiences. I call it science of divinity. There's practical science to it. It's not separate from science. It's just more expanded than physical science. Right? Because we're still even Newton, we're stuck in Newtonian physics, and Newton was an alchemist. He was like me. He was one of us, one of us weirdos. He was trying. If you look, that's well known. He was trying to figure out how to do all sorts of stuff, and he happened to. There's smart people, man. Einstein believed in this stuff, and then the quantum physics continues to be more and more supported. Right? Science doesn't prove things, so it doesn't mean it's been proven, but it's just like nothing in science is proven. It's observation, it's study. So, but more and more peer-reviewed and more expanded science factions are agreeing that quantum physics is legit. So, It's going to be a very interesting world. I mean, like we already use quantum computing and all that stuff. You look in your stocks and whatnot. They just had all that stuff. If you looked in the last bill where they were trying to ban TikTok, they had like a list this big of different quantum systems that they could essentially like affect through the bill. They're like, okay, these things we can all regulate now because of it. And I'm like, people still don't think quantum physics is legit when even the government's like, there's like documents from the CIA, unclassified documents all over that talk all about this stuff, how to astral project, how to get into these states, channeling states, remote viewing. Like people just haven't looked. Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank you, Satiti Artesienta. Am I a space lizard? I'm a space everything. I'm a celestial sparkle. I am formless. That's the thing. That's one of my things is I'm a shapeshifter big time. So I can shift my expression to fit whatever energy that I need to embody at that time. So people that'll see me will see me as all sorts of different things. So, but my signature frequency is there and people can recognize my signature frequency. But I played it all. They're just costumes. They're all just costumes. Yeah, Lisa says, that was a great description. I truly believe people with schizophrenia are more in tune and sensitive. Yes. So my mom, who's actually visiting right now, could be considered schizophrenic. That would be one way to label it. She could be labeled a number of other things, but she's super in tune. So she's super sensitive. So with her, what's happening from a quantum architect's perspective is that, so we have these like streams, like these tunnels of time, these like structures that we experience linear time through, like time-space tunnels kind of, and they have a structure around them, kind of like a hexagonal kind of structure around them. And with my mom, those structures aren't solid. They fade out. They kind of like they kind of decay. And so her other realities merge in with that, and they leak in. So sometimes she'll perceive everything from these other experiences, past lives and stuff, in this life, and it won't make sense. Or she'll be channeling aspects of herself that she doesn't understand, right? Because she's still in that trauma state. She hasn't done the healing work. So the difference between like a shaman and someone who's sick and like in that way is essentially healing and training. Because if we were in our communities, we would support each other when we have these certain things come up, because in a lot of indigenous communities, they perceive it as a gift. We just need to assist each other through that. And unfortunately, in our culture, for the most part, that's not supported. The mental health, I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell anybody how messed up the mental health system is in Western medicine. So yeah, but I actually just worked on her last night. So she's visiting because I'm moving. And I went and worked, and I actually worked on my dad too. So my stepdad, he's kind of resistant. He's not resistant to it, but he's just kind of like, oh, he saw what it does for my mom. So he was like shocked. He's like, because he could see the difference. So he's like, oh, wow, okay, interesting. But he's like, no, I'm good. I'm not really. But last night, after enough, he saw what I did with my mom, and she's just like in awe. Like when she doesn't know anything about this stuff, and she, like when she's getting worked on, her hands start doing all this stuff. She starts talking about other past lives and all this stuff. Like it's no problem with her. And then, and afterwards, she's just like, oh my God. Like, she's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this stuff works. She's like, oh my God. And every time she's like that, she's like, oh my, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. So I got to work on my dad last night, and it was really cool. I started off just like I would with, kids. So I love to work with kids. And so I would, I taught them how to rub your hands together till they get nice and hot, to twist your wrists like this, twist your forearms, take your hands, put them together like that. And take the top of your nails, put them together like that. And then so you can bring sensitivity into your hands and you can feel the energy. So he started to feel his own energy. And then what that does is it unlocks that fear-based, the limitation-based perceptions of the ego structure, so that you're more open, like a kid, like, kids that don't have these limitations set. So once he felt it, okay, well, that could be legit. Like, and he could feel my hand over, he could feel all the energy, like, whoa, okay, yeah. And then I worked on him. At first, I just pumped energy through him, and he was like, blown away, like he was yawning and like had the energy. He's like, yeah, whoa. He's like, I feel really relaxed. And then I'm like, now watch this. And then I started to do all my other stuff on him, and he was just like, I feel so good. He's like, wow. So yeah, hopefully it's, I don't know. I thought that was fun. I thought it was cool. I loved it. But my mom used to not be like really open to like anything to try to get help. And then one time she finally let me work on her, and it changed. I was like, oh, it changed so much. And she's been doing so much better. She goes through, you know, waves just like we do. You know, if those that are on this ascension path, you know, things happen in waves, right? We go through hard times, we go through many dark nights, and sometimes when the energies are really intense, we can live. I want to do what you do when I grow up. Oh, yeah, my bin is like the sweetest thing I've heard in a long time. Thank you. I felt that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if I would have seen, you know, nobody tells you when you're a kid that these things are available to you, right? Like when they talk about careers, you know, you be a doctor, you go be a cop or whatever. You know, they don't teach you that magic is real. You know, like how fucked up is that? You don't teach kids that something that is more real than real is real. And kids love fucking they love magic. You know, like if I would have known that, you know, magic was available, of course I would have chose. Of course I'm a Pisces, yeah. Of course I would have chose magic, you know. There wasn't wizard as an option on career day. You know, I don't know if I would have chose wizard anyway. I probably would have chose, wizard's still pretty limiting. My version of a wizard's pretty crazy, but more multidimensional. But still, it's like, you know, like that's what sucks. It's like kids will shut them. That's like where you can shut down right there. You know, you can shut down right where they give you your options. This is what you get to be. You can be a construction worker. You can be a cop. You can be a computer scientist or And then we're going, well, and then we go through college and we're like, what are we doing? What am I going to do with my life? And we have all these issues. Then we get a career and we go all the way through into our midlife. Oh, thank you. Now just remember, you are the love. But yeah, and then we go through our whole adult life trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up. Because we're not taught this stuff is real. Like it's available to us. It's only real if it's real in your reality, right? If it's something that you're open to, then it can be real to you. Because you are always in control. You're in your own little bubble of your own little universe. So if you're adopting the limitations, thank you, Sammy. If you're adopting the limitations that others have assigned to you, like we don't even know, right? It's like this is all this implied consent that's going on through these systems where we're manipulated without really having any idea. It can be done really subtly, but it keeps us contractive, right? It doesn't keep us in that expansive state. It's when you say that this is all that's available to you and this is the way you got to do it. And then they program you with all this information that is, I remember asking, why are we learning about this stuff? Why aren't we learning about other stuff? I remember being so confused by everything in school. I didn't do great in school. I was all like, I pretty much would do really well on tests and great on projects. And that's how I stayed kept from failing. That was it. So I was all about the extracurricular stuff, you know, playing sports and doing all the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, like just the money thing, I was so confused by it. They don't teach us about how to use money or how to process emotions or how to do taxes or, you know, like the stuff that they already are, like the system's already set up for. Like the system that manipulates everything. Why don't they teach us how to do that? You know, they teach us weird stuff. Thank you, Kairs. Yeah, thank you, Bailey. Whew. All right. Thank you for that, by the way. That was a huge compliment. I mean, that was just a very touching thing to say. Hey, Cody. What's up? It can be a struggle, Buzz. But that's why I'm really passionate about like connecting with kids and working with kids too. And especially these younger kids, they don't like they're here to change the world. They're here to be themselves. Like these ones that are, you know, under probably like 7 right now. I don't really know for sure. Oh, thank you, Sky. As you see. Like they come in with different templates. They're coming in just to be themselves. They're like a wave of being themselves. Even like the younger kids that are kind of coming out of high school right now, those guys are really going to shake stuff up on like a social scale. Tuti alina karkikis ya pandor tipisa, I love you, mahu aturkis emburtisa, sitiansa nantukorke. But yeah, there's different roles. Like my generation is really like we're on the front lines, the grunts for this whole shift. Like the millennials and stuff. We were like, there's, the wave that came in earlier, kind of like the hippie wave in the 60s, they were huge. That was huge. There was so much social reform that was done and through that process. And they really set the stage for the millennials to come in and pretty much like fist fight our way through things, because the system right on that transitional stage. And then same with these, Gen Z and stuff. But these younger kids, they're going to just be themselves. They're coming on with their gifts online. They're going to be seeing auras. They remember in their past lives, and they're incarnating into all sorts of different families, families that don't have that may have rigid belief systems, that they keep things in boxes, may have religious programming. Thank you. And but how can you deny your child when they have these gifts on, right? Like when your 4-year-old's talking to grandma who passed 10 years ago and answering questions that they couldn't possibly know, or talking about past lives within detail where you can go and prove it yourself. There's so much evidence for it. It's just right now a lot of people are choosing to be willfully ignorant at this time because they bought into the programming, and that's okay. They can choose to play the game of limitation, and we're not here to wake people up to it. We're here to be ourselves. That's what I believe. I think we're here just to embody who we truly are, and we're remembering who we are, a new version every moment. So we get to design who we are. It's not like there's some part of you that you're remembering. There's all parts of you that you're remembering, and then we just got to be. And then that gives permission to the people that aren't being themselves, that have bought in and adopted the programming from others, these limiting beliefs and these how we define things as possible or not possible. When we bite those, we can, like, all right, Cody, man. I'll call you man, Cody, if you choose. whatever your, I can't even think of the word right now. What do they call that? He, she, them. Gosh, why can't I remember that? What time is it? Thank you, Kat. Oh, thank you, Kat. Oh, thank you so much. I see what you did. Thank you. Pronouns. Thank you. I always forget that stuff. See how I don't take it too seriously. Thank you, Thank you so much, Kat. Yeah, we can do some healing. Yeah, good call, hot local nun. Good name too. I dig it. Oh, bro, I wouldn't put your phone number on the internet. You can shoot me a message. I was making a joke. You can shoot me a message, and I'm happy to chat. Thank you so much, Kat. All right, so we can I'll sling some magic, and then I'm going to get going because I'm going to go eat dinner with my family. And yeah, so we'll do a little bit of energy work here, a little transmission before I get going. So if you're open to receive only for your highest good, set your own parameters for what you receive. I always use your own discernment, even if somebody seems real nice, and even if they say the nicest things, always establish your own parameters, because nobody can penetrate your parameters if you don't let them. Like we give consent to things to happen. So, and there's always it's tricky. Implied consent here is weird. So set your own parameters for what's, only in your own highest good and the highest good of all only. And so in this transmission and following the transmission, no harm will be done. No energy will be taken that is not freely given out of love. It will be in alignment for the highest good of all only, and only those that are open to receive will receive, and only what's meant for them. Fiarrante da Katsuke Papayandur Diana, de Karayaka Montardo così grandi era così che mantu le porto a porana, le arcantu con la caia lectana non si fiarne. Per i tutti sia sacra che accranto che si che motardu, ti prosiu tu mantur da pare qua.
ti renbora to su amur mamar kuka kuarikini ti tansi mahapapa kukwera tansura to wichuri ti warto fakamar kukamo ritisia sapro tu gondor tapro henari ta arai na fu arai pa huku kaya maku ya kaga ninke kaga weku tu uku ya kan tu kaga uku ya maku staki po di antifikali ki ku andar ta si fiaka andar ta parat ke hajiku prosu fahandi proshiti aktan si protaki auron mambu pahaku le lahri tiense perekto iwartu si ambor na kase fiara to pari prosu fiarti ta katantantu parati paku koe te puku koe kanan tu ke prahe tiarti Kit mosamo amara tiro. Retu afahar takur kukebea prake pre simbri usagi warato tiama. Jara kara ke pohe kiare kara nimwasano ti prota kukes ke maburea. Ti brishu harete lente a sevrasi tu kosambur te babi harti dai. Ritu hantu amama hakwae. Kiratera ni miaratos. Shibu kukukue puata satiasa. Pesciata da imhekuersa. Jiri ansi pu yetiti ansi du utanamat ansi ni mahna pa ansi ni nia rithia ha uku e kwanana ki prusa ya ta feki hanti di mantura tu fiartis ci pi auto awara to miari ci curita in cosa da che se vede rendo per la cosa cu morta per la perché non capite che non si preoccupa che dai io ti prato ci bruti ansore da bahato che non io su io ora tu per campo papà non di asseta che io co ansore te io di porra da manata fare to che chiamana che si vertas pahapu ambur da per handil tu sui teni morta perché qui qua non tu o shuana di arti ci proto si arta fa hando mana guardo ma ci broco a suar che ni na cate ora to puia ya ka engora tati ya uti man e un semau e tu kai che quei hanto di porta siamo ci guarda tu non che ma hartu quia yaro e ai mo che mo kai corretta si fisciando per si fa tu ratta ngango ci bra hatira su shembri tara non wahano maharu tu qui hashata fi kandi ya tasi fiasa rithia wahano maru te piaro risia si anta fu che mantu che wata che na sarto yorti ci bru sufare di andare tutti per la casa perché se perché non si vuoi mantu ci vuoi guarda perché piardo c'è rete nana namo ti tutia maharu te ti amato che quando we wa na ma we wa no me wa mina kaya no me wa na we no wa ya ma ti ni ku a ko ya a ti na ke uka ka ne ki o lo ama le ki ku chupu ku ya ma ku te ma ku ko te ma ku ko te ma pe ana ku ko te ma ti pia ko ya o te amore te pa yo su palito imbra che si caiano ma rito così fiappo te per rita si fianzi protocasier coi aur di moria si ti artu aur tu pa mamana ci prosi e far tacchi chiasti anche da porta per che se per dire ci porto di rete siendo a sovrata che qua quel morto porti ci prosu tambura che costandi rete per spiarto già alle canni le lecchie cu halu che la lembo di arto fiarte alle canni di sicura ma il cusu su afrati rense non cutata che ti porta che in su ritardi ne che tu risparmi su cu ma prato un barne mai la cuquaia Aku kanguru, perché imbora che te soprattutto imbora che te patracati che si atia, ci ditu si andare casi che muri dandori, ci qui qua andor che te fa che qui andor da che qua hato rega morca e occo e quena, di cui caio che ne muke or capare così fra caio che ne ingusaki a canata di asseti perti per cosa. Ric ni la tu sei ferete per con imbora che te perché non si perché parli tu così per come pa che mi stai che atti che te così perché anzi ci porto che imbora che te che si anzi che te perché di parla che te perché imbora che issatar che te parla così che si qui un torta qui c'è qui io non porta che sapere che morta pare che sta che sapere che perché mi sapere che usci vorando da sai che si però ci prozza per non si vede che parla che per capire che modo soffre su asfriscio su shantri ci tutti arta smurta ma catari che pre ci pro handor da parta ci tu rata de as ciu ratia sa ci prostan tutti pratia e te tanongara peshui horta ne me qui quena ci wiru to mo ci wa mo ta ci fai wa goya na ma te wi wa ki wa te mo wa ci wa te me ko ya ma wa ci ush wa sa e wa sa asua ta e ri na to se wa ci ko no ko tar pa bra qui ci mo e wa to amor e ma na Qui scenando da presi corridoia. Charatare, naratare. We're done, but it kind of sounds like I want to jam to it. Yeah, aren't they amazing? The moderators are so great. They got their hands full usually with me. Even other people that do light language, I know that it's tough enough to moderate for them, but the way that I do it is quite strange. The eyes, the how physical I am, the way that I move, and with the eyes and the weird sounds. Yeah, I can't imagine. Britain asked, would you rather? It's so funny how people try to do that kind of stuff. I can sense the energy before I even read it, bro. But I think it's cute. I mean, keep on going with your Friday, spending it that way. I'm sure real productive. Whatever gets you smiling, my dude. I bet, but you can be more creative, right? Like you can use some terms that you haven't saw from someone else, right? It's the same stuff. Everybody that trolls uses the same sayings, and I just noticed that. I see it coming in waves too, where people will leave comments on videos and they say all the same things with all that the most likes. I'm like, they all just say the same stuff, and people actually think that that's great. Like you're saying an awful lot without saying anything. I see that all the time. Way to flex. Good flex. It's cute. I like it. Good job, kid. It is a full moon, crystal soul. Yeah, it's an eclipse too. That language is very throat focused. Can you feel it there when you speak it, the energy coming out? Yeah, it depends on what we're working on, where we're working. So sometimes, yeah, some of them are more throat based, some of them are more heart based, some of them more solar. I mean, they can come in all different angles. So yeah, today there's been a lot more in the throat. There's just been a lot of energy though too, as well in the solar plexus. So it kind of tightens things up in that area. So sometimes I got to clear stuff out so I can express it. Did I study stars and such? Not too much. I'm aware of the constellations for the most part, but I'm not a big studier of astrology or cosmology really. But what I need to know usually, I could always learn more. Is kind of what I'm getting at. I can always know more. Didn't feel anything, polar bear. That's okay. I didn't feel stuff for a while when I first, and I was doing healings every day. So I was going to healers all the time, and I was always a little bummed out because I wouldn't feel much after people would share their experiences. I'm like, whoa, maybe I'm broken. I don't know. I don't feel any of that stuff. But eventually you shift out enough of the density from your energy field. You right, start to clear yourself more and more, and you become more sensitive to these subtle energies because they are subtle. So once you get familiar with the way that subtle energy works, and feels, then you start to attune to it more, and then you feel more and more. Now I feel like everything, and it's like, oh crap, I can't believe. Honestly, I think back, I'm like, I can't believe I wasn't feeling that back then. To how much I feel things now, I'm like, how did I not feel it? But there's just so much resistance in areas. John Bing, I know you said you did magic, bro. I do magic for a living, my man. This is what I do. I'm a space wizard. I'm a quantum architect. This is exactly what I'm like in real life, my dude. Dorky and all. I'm the guy at the checkout that says, thank you, brati tamushata yaka. Have a good day. Masi nokui. Any tricks to opening up? Remember that
love is expansive and fear is contractive. So identifying where you're assigning fear-based definitions to things will help you to open up more. And when you start to open up more, you're just going to be expanded more and more. So you can keep it that simple. Or always bring in your awareness to the center of your chest as much as possible. Bring it in your awareness into your heart as much as possible. Feeling that, learning how to open your heart, and then staying in that feeling as much as you can, as long as you can do a ton of healing for you automatically and just naturally. But it will help you open up more too. Polar Bear, I fully understand. Yeah, I think it says, I just want to feel, I feel so alone, lost, and disconnected at the moment. It's understandable. That's where I was at too. So when I couldn't feel things, I honestly, what a big problem of mine is I was very disassociated from my body. So I wasn't even connected with my body. Yeah, replacing the word think to feel makes a huge difference. Yes, great point. You feel to heal, truly. Yeah, and feeling is healing. And that's a great tip. That's simple. Because I try to use that too. Sometimes I still say think, and I catch myself. I didn't catch myself, but I do catch myself often still doing it. So I try to do that too. That's why I'll ask people, how are you feeling today, rather than how are you doing? Because doing has like a generic response, right? It's not even, but if you ask people how they're feeling, people respond differently. Just think about that, try that out, and people respond and they'll tell you things, how they're actually feeling, because you don't want to lie, Some people don't care, but do you think you were the first to awaken your family? I was the first, asked Amanda. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably the first. Yeah, I'm sure. I think my sister, I'm about to go to dinner with my sister, and I'm pretty sure she thinks I'm nuts. She probably thinks that I've got, similar to my mom or something. But she hasn't experienced it yet. So she's still very rigid in her experiences. She hasn't had those experiences yet, which I would love for her to be open to experimenting more. So yeah, I'm about to wrap up today. All right. Well, I think I'm going to start wrapping up, unless anybody's got any really pressured questions that they haven't asked yet. Dejected says magic doesn't exist. That is a limiting definition that you've assigned to the idea of magic. How do you define magic? That would be my question. I would say that science is magic. But you just don't have, if you think you have all the scientific information that's available and you don't believe that magic is real, then you're just missing out. So it's just definitions. How do you define things? You're not nuts, you're gifted. I think we're all gifted. I don't think any of us are nuts. I think we're doing the best we can with the environment that we're in, But yeah, so if y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can shoot me a message on TikTok. That's totally cool. You can also email me. All that information's in the link in my bio, or ty-el.com. I do one-on-ones. I'm taking a little bit of a break because I'm moving. So it might be a couple weeks out before I can get to sessions. But that is available. I'm going to be jumping on more the next couple of weeks to do personalized transmissions on lives, just because I've turned off my sessions for the couple weeks. So we will, I'll have more offerings if you want to have a personalized transmission live on TikTok, and then the replay is posted on YouTube afterwards. So you don't actually have to be there live for it either if you don't want to be. So just because we're working the quantum field, you can go back and play it on YouTube and really receive those same effects. And you can play it back and continue to go deeper and deeper into what is being brought through, which I would recommend to play it 3 times, play your transmissions at least 3 times total, up to 12 times. But, totally do whatever you feel is right for you. And I'll post more about that stuff. But and I want to just say thank you to all the people that are new as well, that are especially if they are not even like if they're disagreeing with these concepts and you still stuck around to be curious and ask questions, open up your heart and your mind a little bit, I appreciate that. I'm definitely not asking anybody to adopt my perspectives on things, but I am always happy to discuss and network in that way, because there's a whole bunch I need to learn, right? And I think we can learn together by being open and honest with the ways that we share data, because I think that's the point. Anything else? I think that's it. Thank you to my subscribers. I know there's a few new ones. Thank you to my amazing moderators. It sounds like y'all had the work cut out for you today. Hi, Krista. I love you. And yeah, and thank you to all that have gifted as well. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And if you have questions, ask them on a video. Ask them and leave a comment on a video. Ask a question and I'll respond with video response, because I think that's fun. I love y'all. Thanks for hanging out and happy 5/5. Enjoy the rest of the lunar eclipse energy, and I will talk to you soon.